has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
What is the Colorado win total that all of these morons are going to lose their money on?
The Colorado win total is 5.5 for this season. Now, I had the over 3.5 last year. It was a winner, but they didn't do much more after that. Look at this, guy. 79% of the money is on the over. 5.5 wins for Colorado. I gave a stat number the other day that I think it was 30 or 35% of the tickets, the most are on them to win the Big 12 this year. We did this last year. Remember how everyone ran to the window to bet on Colorado? How did it turn out for them at the end of the season?
It was disastrous. And, I won't deny that they sold it like no other. There is no better car salesman than Deion Sanders. He could convince anybody to do anything, jump, you name it. But I got to tell you, he's finding out the hard way. I don't think he was impressive at all coaching. I don't think they were good at all as a football team. I think his son's got a lot of talent, the quarterback, and I think he's obviously convincing good football players to go to Boulder. I think that he's definitely able to sell the program and recruit. And I'm certain that they have NIL money coming out the Ying. But, I got to be honest with you. Like, I think coaching in the historically black universities where he was coaching before at Jackson State, I think that's a lot easier, frankly, real easy compared to coaching in the Big 12. I give them no chance to win the Big 12, and I think he's capable of winning 6 games, 7 max for me. So if he wins 6, they'll go bowling in some crappy bowl, but they're not winning that conference. They were terrible last year, and he was in charge, so I think he's overrated as a coach. I think he's very good at PR and being famous and being the face and selling his sunglasses and going on Good Morning America and being on network television every week. Everyone's enamored with prime time. But the reality is his team is hairdryer city.
That is precisely the reality. And the NCAA is going to let them, these college football stadiums have on-field sponsor logos now. The jerseys will be next. For college football players. That will be next, just like in the pros. Everything going the way of pro sports.
Well, they got to pay now. Now they got to literally pay players to play college football and college basketball. So how are they gonna generate money? I'll tell you how they're gonna do it. With advertising and with liquor sales and beer sales. Every school now in the country, even Ann Arbor, the big house, they're now selling beer. And they're going to make a fortune doing it. And they're going to make a fortune selling advertising. They make the rest of their money on television deals. And locally, all the schools have radio and TV deals. And they crave, in my opinion, the ability to put advertising all over the field, all over the uniforms, all over the helmets, all over the cheerleaders' asses. They'll put them everywhere they can put them to make money. And that's what they're there for. These athletic departments don't run on sunshine. They run on money. And boosters can only do so much, let's face facts. They pay for everything as it is now. Boosters have been paying under the table for players to play in programs since before Christ. And now you're asking them to keep athletic departments afloat? Good luck.
That is what they are asking for. All right, baseball, let's finish it up. I wanted to play one highlight from last night. I had a few things, but this one I want to play because we love doing this on Coast to Coast. Yesterday, I told you about the kid, not really a kid anymore, Jamie Westbrook from the Red Sox, who had his first hit after like over 1,000 games in the minors, finally. So then, a night later, he gets his first home run in Major League Baseball, Scotty, on Nesson last night. Let's go.
Far with the Red Sox after all those years in the minors. He'll swing and drive and hit to left. DeLoach back it up, and that ball is gone. Home run. Look at that smile. Jamie Westbrook off the bench cranks his first Major League home run in Chicago.
Good for him. Screw the Red Sox. How's that sound?
Good for him. Screw the Red Sox. That's precisely what I would have said as well. The A's requested to play some games out of Vegas after the relocation. Now, me and Gabe talked about this the other day. Scotty, how ridiculous is it that they have we already have gone through the drama of them leaving Oakland and that half of Vegas doesn't want them there and all. Right. And now they're already trying to play games somewhere else when they get into Vegas in a few years. They're awful, that ownership group.
Yeah,
awful.
Listen, honestly, can we just stop all this nonsense? What more do you want? First of all, you haven't mattered since Raleigh Fingers, okay? You don't deserve anything special. You want games outside of Las Vegas. What is next with these people? What do you mean, you people? I mean, honestly, the A's, the Las Vegas A's, Sacramento A's, Oakland A's, no one gives a flying F about you. You want more than – it is beyond absurd what they're asking for. Build your, multi-billion-dollar Shangri-La Stadium where the Tropicana is and shut up. I mean, honestly, what's next? They want, let me guess, tax-free. And you want, how about this? You don't pay for it at all. Why don't you make tourists pay for it? That's what they're doing anyway. These people are unbelievable. They really are. Honest to Christ, you should just stay in that dump you play in and have fun with that nice crack neighborhood you play in for the last 100 years. What a mess. I told you this 1,000 times on this show. That place is a hellhole. Just so you know, I live there. No one's fool. Anyone, they just don't like talking about it. No one likes to admit that Oakland is a hellhole. And I love saying it because it is. It's a hellhole. It is hell on earth there. And they have, you know what? It's like, I think they can go toe-to-toe with Manhattan for crime. I mean, honestly, like toe-to-toe. And literally, you can do anything you want in Oakland and get away with it because there's no cops. They can't stop nothing there. They just have anything you want. It's open season. It's a hellhole. Why do you think all the teams left and wanted to leave? Because of the weather? No, because it's a hellhole.
What do you mean, you people? Like that. What do you mean, you people? All right, let's go here for tonight. We have a lot to do and not a lot of time left to do it. Milwaukee will start a weekend series in Detroit against the Tigers tonight. We will have Tobias Myers against Reese Olson as the first matchup in this series. Right now, Scotty, as we look at the big board, minus 120 for Detroit, even money for the Brewers, and an 8.5.
Yeah, I cannot believe that they're favored with this hack on the mound. I mean, honestly. Honestly, give me the Brewers. I am not betting on this guy. He is 1-6. Every time he pitches, they lose.
He's got a good ERA, though. That's what they'll.
I don't care.
He's got a good ERA. He's pitched well. The Buccos have the Twins in town this weekend. It'll be Joe Don't Call Me Jack Ryan against Helen Keller for the Pirates tonight. Minus 130 for the Twinkies, plus 110 for the Buccos, and a flat 8.
Now, here's the deal. Helen Keller has won 5 straight starts. I'm getting him at plus money. I'm on the Bucks again tonight, plus 110 right now. Helen Keller getting involved.
I'll slide one more in fast. The Braves have Sale tonight, minus 210 in D.C. against Irvin and the Nats at plus 170.
I mean, Braves, run line, automatic. Sale's been brilliant.
We will come back and do the rest of the baseball games, including the Yankees and the Dodgers in the Boogie Down with Yamamoto on the hill tonight.
Anybody remembers that famous chip in that Tiger Woods hit at 14, long and left after he tried to go for the full flop, leaves it short, then chips in for par, goes on and wins. You know, that you can't miss left there. And it's all you're hitting off the tee is a full iron. You're hitting full iron into the fairway, and you're hitting a 138-yard fade pitching wedge. And you can either hit it on top of a minivan or you can't.
Only on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, .920 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice. That potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back, too. I guess this... Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we track on in the third hour on a pain-free Friday here on C2C with more baseball for tonight on the docket.
The Orioles stay in the AL East, Scotty, where they've been very successful this year off a 4-gamer in Toronto. Now they go to Tampa to see the Rays. It'll be Cole Irvin and Aaron Savale tonight in the pitching matchup. Minus 115, Rays a slight favorite over the O's here, who are minus 105 and an 8.5 total.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on Irvin and the Orioles here, and I like the under 8.5 runs. I think both of these guys have been pretty impressive pitching. I think the runs are going to be hard to come by.
The Cubbies and the Reds again tonight in Cincinnati at Great American. The Steel Mill gets the ball. Justin Steele for the Cubbies. Nick Lodolo goes for the Reds. Right now, Reds minus 135, plus $1.15 for the Steel Mill, and an 8.5.
You know, the Steel Mill pitches, he just doesn't win. And Lodolo does win. I'm on the Reds.
The Yankees and the Dodgers, as we have talked about this weekend in the Boogie Down. Tonight, it will be Yamamoto getting the ball for the Dodgers. Cody Poteet, who has come up for the Yankees since Clark Schmidt got put on the IL, is going to start for the Bombers. Right now, Scotty, the Dodgers minus 145. The Yankees, who have the best record in baseball, are plus $1.20 at home tonight. 8.5's the total. Soto not in the lineup, but available maybe to pinch hit later in the game.
I am worried about Poteet against that Dodger lineup of bats. So, and Yamamoto's as tough as they come. So I think the play tonight is the Dodgers. I want the Yankees badly to win, and I love that price that they're getting if they do win. But I think the young kid is going to have problems with that batting order. They're lethal. I mean, you know, between it goes on and on. Betts, Freeman, don't get me started on what they're capable of with their bats. They're not. And Ohtani, he's 130 in Yankee Stadium. He could turn that around this weekend, and people will forget all about his 130 average in Yankee Stadium. That was never with the Dodgers.
Never with the Dodgers, 130, as you said. We went after Scheffler. Of course, I told you that he bogeyed and then missed an easy birdie putt to fall back to 6 under. Well, not anymore. He just made an eagle on 15 to get back to 8 under. So the jinx worked for about 2 holes, was what we were able to jinx him for. The Guardians are in South Florida, FLA, and Miami to see the Fish. Logan Allen and Ryan Weathers are the starters tonight. Minus 115 for Cleveland, minus 105 for Miami, and a 7.5. I love this over, Scotty. Both of these guys have given up a lot of long balls this year. I think the total's a little light.
Yeah, I like the over as well. It's a great bet by you, and I'm going to back you. And I'm also on the Guardians. I don't like the Marlins at all. They stink.
Yeah, they are not good. Logan Webb will go for the Giants in Arlington against the Rangers, who have Michael Lorenz in tonight. The Giants are minus 125, plus 105 for the Rangers, and a 7.5.
You know, I've heard all I can take about Logan Webb and how, ESPN sells him as he's a spider or something, and they're always doing, cartoons with him. He's this great pitcher. He's losing when he pitches now, and he does not pitch well on the road. He only pitches well at Oracle. So I'm going the other way. I'm going Rangers and Lorenzen in Globe to beat the Giants. The Giants have won like one game in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have not been good. Big spiral for them. The White Sox have the biggest spiral. They've lost 14 games in a row. This is actually a pick'em now. The White Sox were a slight favorite last night, Scotty. When I looked at this doing the radio show, they have Garrett, don't call me Davy Crockett, going against Cooper Criswell for the Red Sox. So a pick'em minus 110 both ways and a flat 8. How is a team that's lost 14 games in a row a pick'em tonight?
Well, that would smell that they're going to win. But I don't believe that for 1 minute. Give me the Red Sox.
Mariners are in Kansas City against the Royals. Bryce Miller and Daniel Lynch tonight. Minus 120 for the M's on the road. Even money for the Royals and a flat 9.
I like the under here. And again, I'm going to go Seattle. We keep winning with them. We had Woo yesterday. We're going to go with them again today with Miller.
It sounds good to me. The Rockies will have Austin Gomber in St. Louis tonight against Lance Lynn for the Redbirds, who are minus 185, plus $1.50 for the Rockies and a 7.5.
I like the over, and I like Fat Lynn and the Cardinals at Busch.
The Astros head west to Anaheim. Framber Valdez and Greg Canning tonight, minus 165 for the Stros, plus $1.40 for Anaheim and an 8.5 there.
Oh, I like Valdez and the Astros. The Angels suck, and so does Canning.
The Padres have been miserable, as you were discussing with Davis earlier. They will have Michael King tonight at home against Brandon Pfaadt and the Snakes. Minus 125 for San Diego, plus 105 for the Diamondbacks, and a flat 7.
I think it ends tonight. Padres win at Petco. King's been pretty good for him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And finally, the Blue Jays are at the dump tonight. The Bassett Hound gets the ball. Minus 165. Harris goes for the A's, who are plus 140 with a 7.5.
Wow, I still like the over, and I'll go with Morency and the Bassett Hound here as they get to 500 almost. They're 2 games under. I think they'll be there by the end of the weekend against this team. And
finally, how about Tater Time for a Friday night, heading us into the weekend? Let's see who we have here. Now, I've gone to Mountcastle a lot this week, but that's because he hits all these teams in the American League East. Plus 500 for him tonight against Zavala. Jordan Alvarez destroys Canning at plus 220. Bobby Witt Jr. against Miller at plus 400. Tyler Stevenson, Scotty, who? He hits the steel mill. 8 for 13 with a homer off of him. Let's go. Josh Naylor, you're giving me him at 7-1 tonight? You got to be kidding me. I usually pay 4 for him. And Sawinski against Joe Don't Call Me Jack Ryan for the deep bomb at plus 775. The lefty loves those righties at PNC. Let's get Sawinski over the wall.
I hope so. The swashbuckler. I'll go Reynolds as well there for the Bucks. I'm stoked, and I've been trying to sell anyone that'll listen that they have a shot at that last wild card with their pitching. And that's all I care about in baseball the rest of the way. The Yankees are already golden.
Anybody remembers that famous chip in that Tiger Woods hit at 14, long and left after he tried to go for the full flop, leaves it short, then chips in for par, goes on and wins. You know, that you can't miss left there. And it's all you're hitting off the tee is a full iron. You're hitting full iron into the fairway, and you're hitting a 138-yard fade pitching wedge. And you can either hit it on top of a minivan or you can't.
Only on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, 9.20 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice. That potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Finally get to talk hockey. Everybody loves hockey. Everyone I know loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey, and finally Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final will begin tomorrow night in South FLA, down in Florida. Sunrise, Florida, of course, to be exact. It will be the Oilers and the Panthers. Let's start with Panthers head coach Paul Maurice. Of course, these two teams, Scotty, according to Paul at least, very evenly matched, even when you go with the charts and graphs and beyond.
But 5-on-5, depending on what analytics you use, what companies you read, they're a better defensive team 5-on-5 than we are, and we're a better offensive team 5-on-5 than they are. I'm talking about small numbers here. I'm not talking about, but I would agree with anybody that say they are a dominant offensive team. They got 4 guys with more points than Chucky, and he's our leading scorer. So that's true. We've been pretty darn good. You know, we've had stretches we haven't given up a whole lot. That's the foundations. But I think this is it's going to be a really interesting, incredibly even series because there aren't holes. I don't see a hole in their game. Their defensive game's good. We don't need to talk about their offensive, anymore. It's brilliant. It's going to be awesome.
He's so much better than the other guy. I think Knobloch is he's just nervous. He got, I know he's done a great job since they put him in the job and they went on that tear and got from 10 points deep to where they are today. It's incredible. But let's calm down here. I think, honestly, the last reason for me that they're in the Stanley Cup Finals is this guy Knobloch. The reason they're in the Stanley Cup Finals is because they have some of the best players in the world on the team. And they're big and they're fast. And they finally have a goaltender that's stopping pucks. Honestly, in my opinion, Knobloch has almost nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I don't think Knobloch has much to do with it either. I don't like Knobloch. We'll get to him in a moment for what he did the other day, which I'm going to play you. First, here's Matt Tkachuk. Of course, he knows the Oilers very well, Scotty. He spent the beginning of his career in Calgary in a very fierce rivalry with the Edmonton Oilers. Let's hear from Tkachuk.
So, Chucky, first off, going back to Edmonton, do you still have the same hatred that you used to for the region?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but Anytime you're playing any opponent in the Stanley Cup final, you don't even have to have a team rivalry or any rivalry with them. And right when the puck drops, it's going to be very intense, like you've had that rivalry for years. So, we are very experienced going back to last year in this moment right now. And I'm sure it's Stanley Cup final. There's so much on the line, so I'm sure teams will go after it pretty good early, and I'm sure both teams are really, really, really want this.
I don't disagree with him that they have more experience. That's obvious. But that doesn't mean you win hockey games. Oh, we're more experienced in the finals, so we're going to win. That doesn't shake out for me. You have to win the games. You have to play better. You have to score goals. You have to have a power play, a PK. You have to have good goaltending. You have to control the puck in the neutral zone and in both ends. You got to forecheck. You got to hit. You got to stay out of the penalty box. I do not believe experience, frankly, has anything to do with any of the above. They just have been there, and the Oilers haven't.
That is precisely how Chris, don't call me Chuck Knobloch, thinks as well, Scotty. He was asked about the Panthers being in the finals last year, losing in 5 to Vegas, if that's going to matter this year when they face the Oilers. Here he is.
And you're playing a team that has a ton of Stanley Cup final experience. They were just there last year. Is that an edge that you guys have to overcome, and how do you do that quickly?
Experience is good. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know how much experience is beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is.
That's nice. Real nice.
Real nice.
But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.
He should have a great time in Buffalo when they go there next year. He should be the man of the year.
What a nice
in Buffalo.
guy. I mean, of all the things he could have came up with, he had to take a shot at the Bills. That was only, 30 years ago at this point?
Right, honestly.
Bro, find something else. I guess
have a sandwich.
Growing up in Saskatchewan, I guess Knobloch had a couple bucks on the Bills in the early 90s, and they let him down. I have no idea why Chuck's got such a problem with that.
Growing up in Saskatchewan, I'll just leave it at that.
We'll come back, and I'll give you all the numbers for game number 1 tomorrow night, Panthers and Oilers.
Anybody remembers that famous chip in that Tiger Woods hit at 14, long and left after he tried to go for the full flop, leaves it short, then chips in for par, goes on and wins. That you can't miss left there. And it's all you're hitting off the tee is a full iron. You're hitting full iron into the fairway, and you're hitting a 138-yard fade pitching wedge. And you can either hit it on top of a minivan or you can't.
Only on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, 9.20 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice. That potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. only on SportsGrid.
So I can't get enough of the hockey and the Stanley Cup final and the fact that it starts tomorrow and that when it ends, I go into deep depression. Like I mean, what do I got? Baseball to me is morphine. I mean, you know what? Like golf, I love when you're making me money, but I mean, what's next? Wimbledon. Honestly,
I
like
told you,
Wimbledon,
remember
tea and crumpets. I hate it.
I can give you this, a small passage, maybe for a couple of weeks, is we do have the Euros and the Copa. Euros and the Copa that are going to maybe bridge a little bit of the gap for us. I mean, I know the Olympics aren't the best thing ever, but at least you got the basketball in the Olympics, which maybe will be a little bit of fun if somebody can give the USA a run. So we have some things that will get us to football, hopefully. That's
Thank
for
God.
sure. But why don't we, you know what? I think we're going to get ourselves 6, maybe even 7 games of the Panthers and the Oilers, and that might carry us all the way to the end of June if we can actually get that. There's no way I could give you the numbers without at least checking the pulse of Connor McDavid. If there's one heading into game number 1, you would think it's the most exciting time of Connor's life, right? He's finally going to get to play in a Stanley Cup final. Well, Scotty, you would have thought wrong.
Yeah, really exciting, obviously. Great opportunity for our group. Something that we've been waiting for a long time. It's the playoffs, it's the finals. I would expect physicality. No matter who we were playing, obviously, Florida plays a fast game, in your face, aggressive.
Personality classes.
Yeah, I don't think it changes anything.
Oh my God, this guy! He's paint thinner. He's paint thinner. He is like I would rather sit. I'm not even kidding. My mother-in-law is like 140, and she's outlived 9 popes, and she drinks whiskey. And she'll eat gummies and party with you and gamble, and she can't even hear you when you're talking to her. And she has 10 times the personality of this guy. I can't even take it. I know he's a great player, but you do that to torture me, is what you do, because he is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, he's like a paintbrush.
He came in. So today they had the big media day, like I was telling you earlier, and I finally saw a little bit of that. So of course he has the biggest crowd. Like there is 1,000 cameras and microphones at his station for media from all over the world getting ready to talk to him. And I guess the first thing he said was something along the lines of, quote, "I'm excited to get this madness over with," in terms of all the people talking to him. And from guy just wants to play hockey. He doesn't want anything to do with any of the other stuff that goes along with it. He just
like
wants to go out and play the
moron,
game tomorrow night.
Nate Diaz, who doesn't want to talk ever to anybody about anything. He just couldn't sell a game if it hit him in the face. Like that guy selling an MMA or a boxing event is the worst person in the world. He smokes so much dope. He's brain dead. He's literally lifeless. He's like comatose. And so is Connor McDavid. I mean, he is so boring. Can you imagine? Like, and no offense to him, I don't know him from Adam. Going out on a date with him, if you were a chick, what would you do? I'd go in the bathroom and do bumps. Honestly, I'd have to get high on coke just to deal with him. Honest to Christ, is he boring?
He's a little bit nicer than Diaz was about it, right? At least he didn't say Diaz, you know.
He's not telling people to F off.
Get away from me. I don't like you. I don't like you. At least McDavid's not doing that. He's just boring you to death. Is all that Connor's all about. Game 1 tomorrow night in Sunrise. The Panthers are minus 135. Oilers plus $1.15 with a 5.5 total.
I mean, it's just brutal. So, like, I think Edmonton can do some serious damage in this series, but I'm not sure I'm feeling it tomorrow night in Sunrise, at the Everglades, at the Sawgrass, at the PF Chang's. They got so much going for them. at some level, I think the experience might pay off in game one. Like, we've been here, we've done this. Let's go do it again the right way. Fair enough. But after that, like, so, like how the Mavericks said, you heard Kyrie today on Coast to Coast say, we just wanted to get it over with. I don't believe that for a minute. They got their ass beat. I do believe that tomorrow night, the team that has been there and done that has an edge, and they need to take advantage of that edge, I believe, frankly, Mike, in the first 20. In the first 20 minutes, they need to put a couple in and say, we mean business. We've been here. We're doing this year, and we're winning. And so if they can come out strong, get a lead, finish them off, take game one, then the Oilers are really going to have to work in game two and then going back to Edmonton. I do not believe the Panthers will have an easy time of the Edmonton Oilers in this series at all. But I think game one, they can take advantage of their experience.
I think that they can too, but I like the under. I've watched enough of these Florida Panther games here in the playoffs, Scotty, to know what they all look like. And most of them, at least like 80% of them, have looked like 2-1, 3-2 type of hockey games.
What
and
is
I'm
it
expecting that 5.5 with minus 105 to the under.
That really sucks. It's funny. Every year, all year it's 6. Every game's 6. And then when they get to the playoffs, everything's 5.5.
5.5. Hey, that's how it goes. That's how it goes when these games are tighter. And I expect the same thing in this game one tomorrow night. For the series, the Panthers are minus 130. The Oilers are $110. I will give you mine now. Panthers in 7, Scotty. Panthers in 7.
Oh God, you just. I mean, it's like I think it's going to be. Like you punched me right in the onions, right there. I can't even respond to that.
It'll be a lot of frequent flyer miles back and forth from Edmonton and South Florida.
Like I said, I hope that Randy Moeller and Goldie on Ice, Steve Goldstein, get rings on their hand. Two of the greatest guys you ever met in your life, the announcers for the Panthers. And I just think the world of both of them. And I'm rooting for them to get rings. But I'm here to tell you, I'm still stupid enough to take the Edmonton Oilers in the series at plus 110.
Wow. Well, I believe it's like Paul Maurice just said. It is a razor-thin margin series. I really do believe that. As explosive as the Oilers are offensively, the Panthers are very good at shutting teams down. You saw them do it against the Rangers.
Well,
you saw them do it against everyone else. Yeah.
Let's see him stop this guy because he's faster than everyone on their team. There is not one guy on the Florida Panthers that can skate with either McDavid or Draisaitl. They're both faster than everyone on their team. And do you remember, like, just watching, just remember, if you will, Hagelin is, I think, one of the worst players I ever saw in my life, but he's one of the fastest skaters I ever saw in my life. Yeah. There wasn't one guy in 2 years in 16 and 17 that could skate with him when the Penguins won back-to-back Stanley Cups. That's what you're dealing with here. So for me, in a game 7, Connor McDavid will skate through everyone, faster than everyone, around everyone. Have you ever seen a guy skate around in circles from one point to the other? He goes around the entire zone and no one can catch him. And then he rifles a shot and scores. He'll win the Stanley Cup by himself in game 7 because no one can skate with him or his teammates. They're the fastest team. I'm betting on the fastest team with the best PK and the best power play.
And if they do win, it'll most likely be Connor McDavid who wins the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Of course.
He's the favorite right
just
now.
Just like Lemieux and all of them.
Now, Draisaitl 750. Like, if Draisaitl had a monster series. Now, remember, the Conn Smythe is the entire playoffs. It is not like the NBA where it's just the final. Entire playoffs. It gives McDavid a heavy edge. I think if Draisaitl had a huge final, he could maybe overtake him, Scotty.
Well, I think
you know where it is.
This is the way, and I know he's won the Hart Trophy, Draisaitl, but this is the way it works now in the NHL. This guy, McDavid, is their poster boy. So he's going to win the Conn Smythe and the MVP in the Stanley Cup Finals because that's what happens. When Mario Lemieux plays in the Stanley Cup Finals, he wins all the awards.
Yep.
Anybody remembers that famous chip in that Tiger Woods hit at 14, long and left after he tried to go for the full flop, leaves it short, then chips in for par, goes on and wins. That you can't miss left there. And it's all you're hitting off the tee is a full iron. You're hitting full iron into the fairway, and you're hitting a 138-yard fade pitching wedge. And you can either hit it on top of a minivan or you can't.
Only on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, 9.20 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice, that potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Check out our free-to-play BetMGM Swing for the Fences game to win daily prizes that are phenomenal. Play as the batter and pick an area of the strike zone. Get a single, double, triple, home run, or fly out. Play it once a day. Account holders of BetMGM, Sportsbook, mobile app, whatever you play, our BetMGM Swing for the Fences, you're going to get an opportunity to win rewards. If you get a hit, all you need is a hit. Reward types include parlay boost tokens, odds boost tokens, single game parlay boost tokens, bonus spins in eligible casino states. It's ridiculous. Even bonus bets, you heard me. All rewards should be taken care of within 24 hours because they expire after that. So when you win, just go cash it in and start making big bets on the bonus boost tokens and everything else. You're going to be loving life. Check it out at BetMGM.com. And if you haven't signed up yet for BetMGM's mobile app, what are you waiting for, Romeo? Go on iOS or Android and do it. You won't regret it.
I agree. Go ahead and take care of business right now. I told you earlier I got another hit today. I used that parlay boost token on a couple of those taters. I think I used it on that nail. I threw Naylor in there at the 7-1. And I believe Yordan Alvarez, one of the two.
If they had one of those for golf,
and a heavy
you wouldn't even have to work anymore. You would just sit home all day cashing boost tokens and making a living. First of all, he makes more money betting on golf than anyone. If they had a swing for the greens game at BetMGM, I think they should look into that. Hopefully they hear me right now. You need a golf game like this for Carver High to make a large amount of money.
I will tell you, since you brought it up, I'll give them another pop right here. They are giving out every day this Thursday through Sunday for the Memorial Tournament a daily 25% PGA boost token that I used yesterday. And, of course, I used it today as well for the Memorial. So, I mean, you got to be involved. You're going to give it a 25% boost at the Memorial. I mean, I got to take it. So great job by BetMGM in that aspect. It's great. We love it. Let's get to the NFL. I have some stuff for you. Of course, we're getting close to the end of all these OTAs and everybody going away for a few weeks and getting ready for training camp. We do have some stories for you. First, Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson dealing with shoulder soreness. Says it's nothing to worry about. Remember, Scotty, he missed pretty much all of last year, the last 2.5, 3 months of the season, after digging that shoulder up, and he took a lot of hits the first month, and now shoulder soreness in early June. He says no big deal. Steichen says no big deal. I say we'll see about that in September.
I say big deal. If he had his shoulder operated on, which he did, and he's already got pain now, is it scar tissue that's, ripping and stretching? Because you get a lot of that. Like, I've had 13 major surgeries, obviously. I know all about scar tissue. That's what he's got after that surgery. So if it's that, he'll get through it. If he's got issues with that shoulder, you're going to start wondering about his career, because he's a badass player and he didn't make it through year one. And now they're at, mandatories, and he's already got a shoulder that he's, having to cover up on. He's got to lie about it. It's nothing. There's no problem. I got nothing here. Meanwhile, he's on the field and the doctors and trainers are looking at his shoulder. They should wise up and take him inside before they start doing it, because now it's become a story.
Staying with the Colts, Ryan Kelly, who's on their offensive line, he's their player rep, Scotty, sounded off this week about Roger Goodell wanting the 18 games. He said, 18 games sounds great when Roger was saying it, but until you're the one going out there and putting a helmet on for 18 of those games, you can come talk to me then. Players happy about the potential 18 games down the road, Scotty.
Well, he's got more power than that. He's high up in the PA as a vice president or whatever, and he's the head guy on the Colts and the second in command, I believe, at the union. So it's simple. The players, there isn't any player in the NFL that wants 18 games. What they need to do is stop with all the nonsense and, frankly, cut back those stupid preseason games, too. They're a waste of time. I know people say, it's a chance for us to see that. Well, go ahead, and then everybody gets injured. Nice job. They start the season crippled because of all those preseason games. I told you before, I wouldn't let one player on my team, if I ran the Pittsburgh Steelers, I wouldn't let one starter play 1 minute of one preseason game ever. Not one. I already know they can play football. I'm paying them tons of money. I pay these guys tons of money to play, and they play when it counts. That's all that matters.
All that you can do in practice is potentially get hurt, as we always like to say here on Coast to Coast. It's just another step before you getting hurt for the real games. Mecole Hardman re-signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, he caught a pretty big touchdown for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this past year. He will be back with them. Chiefs defensive lineman B.J. Thompson had a cardiac arrest after having a seizure during a team meeting yesterday morning, Scotty. The good news is today he was awake, alert, and doing well. So that's some very good news on that front. Yes.
I just got to say, what do you got to be, Hamlin, and die on the field to get any attention? This guy has a heart attack and a seizure, and no one gives a rat's ass. I mean, we mentioned it on Coast to Coast. If this were during a game on national television, this guy would go through the same treatment that Hamlin got. And instead, since it's in the off season and no one's ever heard of him, people are like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter if he dies.
Yeah. Oh, he's doing okay the next day? All right. And they move along after that. Sterling Shepard, who has played his entire career with the New York Giants, Scotty, signs with the Bucs. Now, he played with Baker at Oklahoma, so Shepard, seeing if he's got any left in the tank, is going to go down there with him. Dak Prescott is still trying to sell to everybody that he doesn't care about money. He's lying. We will find that out down the road. He cares about money. Mike McCarthy said that everyone's engaged, even if they're not here. I'm sure you saw earlier in the week, CeeDee Lamb's not there because he wants money like everybody else, Scotty.
Right.
And Mike McCarthy basically said no big deal, which I guess you could say as long as you eventually pay him and then he shows up with a big smile on his face. Then it'll be okay.
I'm sick of hearing about the Dallas Cowboys offseason and all the money they owe people and the fact that they never win anymore ever in the playoffs. How's that for a story?
Indeed. That is a good story right there. I have a couple for others for you that we'll quickly do before we get out of here when we come back, and then you'll get into the Ferrall thing.
Anybody remembers that famous chip in that Tiger Woods hit at 14, long and left after he tried to go for the full flop, leaves it short, then chips in for par, goes on and wins. You know, that you can't miss left there. And it's all you're hitting off the tee is a full iron. You're hitting full iron into the fairway, and you're hitting a 138-yard fade pitching wedge. And you can either hit it on top of a minivan or you can't.
Only on SportsGrid.
1.81 goals against average, 9.20 save percentage. He's also 6-2 in his last 8 road starts as well. The Oilers are. The Oilers are a great road team. I actually think it's an advantage for them that they don't have home ice. That potentially 4 of the games are on the road. We've seen 56% of the games this year in the NHL playoffs, the road team has actually won.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole's getting ready to come back too. I guess this. Look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, "Look, don't come back." I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, what else you got for me, Carver High?
Here's what else we have before we get out of here. First, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is exploring the possible sale of a minority ownership stake in the Philadelphia Eagles. How about that? Sell while it's worth a lot, right? I mean, we've seen this. These franchises in the NFL are now worth billions with a B, considering when he bought it.
Or he's sick and tired of paying these gigantic contracts, and why not get somebody else to do it with him?
That's not a bad idea either. The Steelers are bringing back cornerback Cam Sutton on a 1-year deal. Thumbs up or thumbs down, Scotty, for Cam Sutton being back on the Steelers. Are we all right with that?
Listen, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not like I think he's good or anything.
Good news out of the UFL, which, believe it or not, I think their season's over, or they're in the playoffs right now. Dawood Davis, wide receiver, had a monster year in the UFL. He's going to sign with the Carolina Panthers, who could use all the help they can get. So that's a good move for Carolina.
The conference playoffs are this weekend.
Oh, there you go. UFL still in the mix. Randy Gregory, who is now with, I believe he's with Tampa now, Scott. He's suing the NFL, alleging discrimination, fines for using
I think with Denver.
I think he left Denver. I saw this morning he's with Tampa now. But either way,
all right, fair enough.
He's going after the league, and as you always like to say, that never ends well when you go after the league. It never ends well.
He doesn't like the fact that he had prescribed THC for his body, which is a nice way of saying he has a medicinal marijuana license and wants to get high.
And they frown on that. In the league. They're not thrilled with it. We talked yesterday a little bit about that. I finally got to watch when we finished Coast to Coast. That was a couple of haymakers in that Masvidal Nate Diaz.
That'll be better than the fight.
1,000 times better than the fight. I mean, go watch that clip. When you think about buying that fight, just go back and watch yesterday of all those guys throwing down in that hallway because that's where it's at. I mean, that was where everything was at. And finally, from me, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, we thought that they would just wash that fight away, which is what they probably should do, but they have rescheduled it for November the 15th, which is a Friday night in November. How about that?
Horrible mistake. Those two fights are the worst thing to ever happen to America. And let me tell you something else. The Masvidal fight with Smokey Nate, $80 pay-per-view. If you pay that, you are at absolute drip. Ferrall finish time. Deontay Wilder's fiance gets a restraining order against the boxer, claiming domestic violence. Here's an idea for you, honey. Don't marry him. She's about to marry him, and he's beating on her, allegedly. Otani's old interpreter, Mizuhara, who's pled guilty to everything and is going to federal prison, he's now delivering Uber Eats in Los Angeles for a living. Xavier Howard of the Dolphins, at least he was, he's got a revenge porn lawsuit going. He shared explicit content with a former partner's minor son. So in other words, a kid, a child he sent porn to in an attempt to intimidate her to get an abortion. How lovely. A 16-year-old forces his way into a Florida home and fatally stabs another teen during a sleepover. Is that like a play date, except everyone dies? Officer in Florida filmed a teen performing a sex act and sent the video to his coworkers. He's up for Man of the Year at the police station. Drunken Delta traveler gets 6 months in federal prison for the brutal attack on a flight attendant who merely cut off his booze supply. Now, you can't, be cutting off people's Jameson supply when they're flying over 5 hours. You got to let a guy have a few Scotch whiskeys or anything is possible. Several injured when a monster truck, not the one Carver High went to, but a different one, the Crush Station truck, hits a power line in midair and unleashes live wires on the crowd, AC/DC style. Live wire! 3 killed, nearly 50 injured in mass shootings at gatherings across the U.S. Nothing like going to a picnic and having your head blown off, is it? 2 dead, 7 injured after a shooter opened fire at a bar in Pittsburgh in Penn Hills. It was all an argument over Steelers season ticket prices, I'm telling you. An 83-year-old woman gored by a bison at Yellowstone. I would have paid to see that, actually. An old granny getting gored by a bison. Don't mess with the bison. I've seen them in Yellowstone. You got to drive right around them. Don't be getting involved. They don't like you. I'm telling you, GTD is next. I'll see you tomorrow at 1 on Betting Above the Rim with Coach. Go to FerrallOnEvents.com for everything else. We'll see you Monday on Coast to Cup.
To be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
This sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. To your quarterback in the first round. Yeah. It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the Book.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.